Every Independence Day, the Prime Minister addresses the nation from this podium, beneath a flag flying high over massive sandstone walls. To understand how this site became the epicenter of modern Indian democracy, we have to look back to 1638. Shah Jahan, the fifth Mughal emperor, made an unusual decision. He abandoned the established capital in Agra to build a brand new fortress here in Delhi. The 17th century map shows why Shah Jahan moved. Agra was congested. Delhi provided a central anchor to maintain control. The fort relied on the Yamuna River, a direct logistical artery back to Agra to transport heavy stone. Emperor Shah Jahan designed a highly strategic military and political command center, carefully positioned to completely dominate the surrounding geography. The primary approach to this command center is the Lahori Gate, named simply because its entrance faces the trade routes leading west to Lahore. Master architects Ustad Ahmad and Hamid Lahori designed these walls to act as an impenetrable barrier, projecting absolute state power to anyone standing below. Passing through those outer walls leads directly into the Chata Chowk. Originally, this was an exclusive covered shopping arcade, built specifically so royal women could purchase goods without ever leaving the palace grounds. The layout relies on a precise sequence of arches. As you walk through the market, the ceiling geometry alternates between ascending and descending symmetry, creating a highly organized visual rhythm. This specific structural arrangement also served a highly practical purpose. The open archways acted as a natural ventilation system, pulling fresh air into what would otherwise be a dense, crowded space. The architecture filtered access. Massive exteriors blocked the public, while inner structures selectively controlled who stepped into the command center. The next layer inward is the Diwan-e-Am, the Hall of Public Audience. This structure was built entirely from red sandstone, quarried locally in Dholpur, reflecting a space designated specifically for the common people. This was a strictly controlled political environment. Commoners were permitted to enter this square to formally present their grievances directly to the emperor. While the public stood on sandstone, the emperor sat elevated above them in a seating area carved from white marble. The canopy surrounding this seat features meenakari, a complex pietra dura inlay technique. The colorful flowers and leaves embedded in the marble are not paint. They are semi-precious stones imported, cut, and polished to fit perfectly. Materials like green malachite, red ruby, and orange carnelian. Even in a square meant for the public, the stark contrast in building materials and the intense concentration of physical wealth reinforced a clear hierarchy, elevating the emperor far above the masses. Moving further inside leads to the Diwan-e-Khas and the Rang Mahal, the innermost royal chambers, where red sandstone is completely replaced by pure white marble. This space originally held the Peacock Throne, a seat of power crafted from solid gold and heavily studded with diamonds, including the famous Koh-i-Noor. This cross-section illustrates how engineers cooled these rooms. They built the Nar-e-Bihisht, diverting Yamuna River water directly through the palace's marble floors. This continuous cycle cooled the hot outside air as it passed over the flowing indoor channels, lowering the temperature as it circulated. The shallow indoor streams caught the sunlight and reflected it against the painted ceilings and colored glass pavilions, combining climate control with visual display. True power in the Mughal Empire relied on engineering capability. They commanded the resources and knowledge to manipulate the local environment, transforming a harsh climate into a perfectly temperate oasis. That carefully constructed oasis fractured in 1739 when Nadir Shah invaded Delhi. His invading forces stripped the fort of its massive wealth and dismantled the Peacock's throne, melting down its gold. The fatal blow to the empire arrived in 1857, during the First War of Independence. The final Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar II, was captured, effectively ending the dynasty. Taking control, British forces systematically demolished a large portion of the delicate Mughal pavilions, deliberately erasing the physical footprint of the previous rulers. In their place, the British constructed stark, imposing army barracks, built from brick and stone, prioritizing utilitarian military occupation over aesthetics. The landscape of the Red Fort was forcibly rewritten. The architecture transitioned from a display of royal Mughal wealth to a blunt instrument of colonial military dominance. Decades later, near the end of colonial rule, the British utilized these very barracks to hold military trials, a decision with severe unintended consequences. They prosecuted captured soldiers from the Indian National Army, a nationalistic military force organized by Subhash Chandra Bose. Instead of suppressing dissent, holding these highly publicized trials inside the historic fort ignited widespread public outrage and massive political unity across the country. Following independence, the Indian Army continued to operate out of the barracks until 2002. They eventually vacated the buildings so the entire complex could be restored and formally recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today, the Red Fort serves as a physical record of India's history. Its walls and foundations document a centuries-long timeline of imperial ambition, of colonial occupation, and the reclamation of national sovereignty.